Hello, everyone. I'm Golda from Norton, and I handle library marketing for our adult and our children's books. I'm going to talk about books from our Norton Young Readers imprint and some of our distributed publishers. We started our Norton Young Readers imprint a couple years ago, and I wanted to point out Packing for Mars for Kids by Mary Roach, which just came out in April. And we're very excited that From a Whisper to a Rallying Cry by Paula Yu is an NEA Read Across America pick for May, and Only Ants for Andy by Jashar Awan is on the next Choose to Read Ohio list. I'm also presenting books from Thames Hudson and Tilbury House. But back to Norton, we're publishing our third picture book by Katie Yamasaki this fall. Shapes, Lines, and Light is a biography of Katie's grandfather, Minoru Yamasaki, who became an architect against all odds and was most famous for being the lead architect for the World Trade Center. Katie Yamasaki charts his life and work, his childhood in Seattle's Japanese immigrant community, paying his way through college, working in Alaska's salmon canneries, his success in architectural school, and the transformative structures he imagined and built. A Japanese American man who faced brutal anti-Asian racism in post-World War II America, and an outsider to the architectural establishment, he found a way to leave his mark on the world, from Michigan to New York City, Asia, and the Middle East. And then from Tilbury House, Big Problems, Little Problems is a father-son story inspired by the author's interactions with his own son. When the little boy is getting ready for school in the morning, he can't get his jacket to zip up and tells his dad he has a big problem. His dad helps him with the zipper, and then they discuss whether that was a big problem or a little problem. They talk about perspective, frustration, and patience. And then when dad spills coffee on his papers, his son turns the tables and helps his dad remember perspective by asking if it's a big problem or a little problem. The illustrations are lively and kinetic, and I think this is a fun story that will help kids think about perspective and also gives a gentle reminder to the adult who may be reading the book out loud. Their Heroes Too celebrates the people whose work every day contributes to the community and keeps things running, including bus drivers, doctors, veterinarians, restaurant workers, and more. There's a girl with her dog and grandma who are the common thread traveling through the book, and you get to see how even kids can be an everyday hero. Pat Brisson is the author of over 20 children's books, and the illustrator also illustrated the Arabic quilt, which has been a bestseller for Tilbury House. Lion Lights tells the true story of how Richard Terreri invented a flashing light system to help keep lions away from his family's cattle at night. Growing up in Kenya, Richard was tasked with guarding the cattle when he was 11 years old. The cattle were the family's livelihood, and even losing one cow to a lion would make a huge difference to the family. By chance, Richard noticed that the lions were scared of the flash of light from his flashlight, so he used scraps and electric pieces that he was able to scrounge up to make a string of flashing lights to put around the stockade, and he experimented until he got it to work. Other members of the community asked for lion lights too, and the popularity grew until Richard's invention became known all over the country. He was invited to do a TED Talk when he was 13, and he has been featured on the BBC. He is now in his 20s and has worked with Shelley Pollock to tell his story. The back of the book includes more information about the Maasai people in Kenya. Pina is a picture book by a Turkish writer and artist about a small character who is afraid of the outside world. He's very comfortable inside, painting and reading and cooking his favorite foods. But when he runs out of his favorite forest cheese, he will need to venture out into town. His first attempt seems like too much, and the world seems too dark and scary. But on his second attempt, a friendly shopkeeper helps to brighten the day, and Pina realizes that it's not so scary out there. The author created miniature dioramas and shadow boxes that she then photographed and painted in order to create these detailed illustrations. Elephants Remember is another true story. Lawrence Anthony had an animal preserve in South Africa. He rescued a herd of traumatized elephants and was able to gain the trust of the matriarch over time. When Lawrence died, the elephants gathered outside his home from remote parts of the reserve to mourn him, and they returned on the first and second anniversaries of his death because elephants remember. Lawrence Anthony's wife and family have maintained and expanded the animal preserve and are happy to share his story in this book by Jennifer O'Connell, who also wrote The Eye of the Whale. A Day by the Sea is a fun picture book about a little dog named Frito who gets into all sorts of escapades while his owner is taking a nap at the beach. The illustrations have a retro feel and color palette and a lot of humor. Flying Scotsman and the Best Birthday Ever is for any of your young train fans. It's written by the author of Warhorse. Iris's father is the driver of the Flying Scotsman, and all she wants for her birthday is to spend the day on the train with her dad. This heartwarming story captures the adventurous spirit of the golden age of steam travel while paying tribute to the amazing workers who drove the trains and kept the railways running. Readers even get to see that when Iris grows up, she becomes one of the first women to work on the railways during World War II. Fanchito and the Moon is the only children's book by Mario Vargas Llosa, now available in English. Fanchito has a big crush on a girl in his class, and she tells him she will kiss him if he can give her the moon. Gazing out the window one night, Fanchito discovers that he can capture the reflection of the moon in a bucket of water. So he takes it to the girl and gets his kiss. School Library Journal reviewed the Spanish edition and said, "This ethereal picture book is an excellent way to introduce young readers to the lyricism of Vargas Llosa." And moving on to middle grade, The Map Makers is the sequel to Tamsin Merchant's first book, The Hat Makers. In this one, Cordelia and her friends stumble upon a secret society of map makers, and they learn that there is more magic in the world than they knew. But danger is lurking around every corner, and Cordelia must convince the rival maker families to work together for once, not only to bring her father home, but to save the very essence of magic itself. With inventive storytelling and a courageous heroine, Tamsin Merchant once again draws readers into her captivating London and takes them on a breathless new adventure full of wildness, wit, warmth, and magic. Fire Song is the third book in the Bright Storm Twins series by Vashti Hardy. The paperbacks of the first two books, Bright Storm and Dark Whispers, are both out now. Twins Maudie and Arthur Brightstorm have made a new family with adventurer and skyship pilot Harriet Vane after they were orphaned in the first book. Their explorations and inventions are gaining them notoriety in Lundtown, for better or for worse. When Arthur and Maudie begin hearing a strange song calling them north, they know there's something waiting for them that may change their lives. As the crew of the skyship Aurora prepares for their trip, they're joined by new members and old friends. But they're not the only skyship journeying northward to uncover the region's secrets. Children of Stardust is a middle grade science fiction adventure by Edudzi Ododo, who lives in Togo. The main character, Zero, has spent years scraping by as an aide to stranded travelers whose spacecrafts have crashed on his home planet. Well, all he has ever wanted is to join one of the legendary Saba guilds, groups of intergalactic travelers who explore space, retrieve lost treasures, and hunt down criminals. He gets his chance when he stumbles upon some wreckage and meets a strange creature with an even stranger object, a golden pyramid that imbues him with powers. Ododo writes the stories he wished he had as a child, science fiction infused with African culture and mythology. It's a lot of fun, so I hope you will check out the digital arcs on Edelweiss, and I will put the link in the description for the video. Switching to nonfiction, Deep Dive into Deep Sea is by the Australian biologist Tim Flannery, with illustrations by Sam Caldwell. In this informed and accessible book, Flannery takes readers on a journey into the darkest depths of the ocean to learn about the incredible creatures living there. The sections are divided by the various depths of the ocean, so readers can navigate their way through the sea while being guided by anecdotes from Tim's own personal experiences. From hairy sea devils and goblin sharks to entire ecosystems within whale carcasses, he uncovers fascinating and bizarre facts about this enchanting place and the slippery, scaly, and strange creatures that live there. Toxic is all about the use of poison in the animal kingdom. The book brims with facts and figures and includes a quiz for children to test their knowledge. These sophisticated poisons are designed with precision to defy predators or subdue prey. Within these pages, children will learn all about big-eyed critters with a poisonous secret, the world's deadliest spiders, snakes, and scorpions, and more. 1001 Fish is an informative volume that introduces children to the ocean and its creatures as seen through the eyes of one school of fish. Travel along with them from the warm waters of the Caribbean to the deepest, darkest part of the ocean. Visit pelicans on the shore, salmon in the ocean and the river, listen to the whales sing, and discover fish that are 13 feet long. With lively and appealing illustrations, it's a must-have for children who are curious about sea creatures and the animal kingdom. The Secret Life of Butterflies shares some of the most incredible and thrilling details about the many kinds of butterflies and moths. From where they migrate to how they trick predators, this book is full of fascinating facts from the renowned butterfly expert Roger Vila. Readers will learn how to recognize the different butterfly species, discover how they evolved and how they eat, sleep, grow, fly, migrate, and communicate with each other. Universe is an introduction to quantum physics that ranges from electrons and photons through atoms, molecules, cells, and the human body, outward to the solar system, the Milky Way, and the universe, and backward to the beginning of time in the Big Bang. The book also talks about the power of the imagination, which can fill up the empty spaces in the universe. Ruth Bader Ginsburg Can't Drive? This is the 5th book in the Wait What series by Dan Gutman. These short biographies are aimed at grades 2 and up. Gutman manages to find a great mix of well-known and little-known facts about the person, and he makes it lively by writing it as a dialogue between a brother and sister. We publish these in hardcover and paperback at the same time, so you can choose which format works best for you. And here are the other 4 books in the Wait What series that are all available now. Resistance is the 4th book in the Eyewitness series, coming out in August. When he was 15, Francie Lutzencourt became the founding president of his high school's Black Student Union, where he advocated for more Black teachers and for bringing social justice into school curriculum. After the murder of George Floyd in 2020, Francie and his friends formed the Strategy for Black Lives Coalition, which centers youth voices and mobilizes communities to fight against racism, discrimination, and inequity. And Francie will be on a panel at ALA Annual, so I hope to see you there if you're coming to DC in June. And here are the first 3 books in the Eyewitness series, which are all available now. This series offers young readers a glimpse into the lives of activists who have gone through difficult times and found ways to help their communities. Cleopatra Tells All by Chris Naunton. In this highly entertaining illustrated book, Cleopatra is brought back to life to tell her own story. The politically savvy, multilingual, cosmopolitan ruler of Alexandria, Cleopatra tells her own version of events, including how she created an army of mercenaries to counter her bullying brother, and how she secured the support of 2 of the world's most powerful men, Julius Caesar and Mark Antony. Witty, contemporary, and full of sass, this is Cleopatra Unfiltered. Curtain Up takes you behind the scenes of the Royal Opera House to see all the people that work to make a performance a success. Highlights of the tour include trying on the Mad Hatter's wig from Alice in Wonderland, practicing a fighting scene from Romeo and Juliet, putting the finishing touches on the Sugar Plum Fairy's tutu, and creating explosions on stage. I think it's cool that you can see that there are a lot of ways to be involved in the theater, even if you're not an actor. A History of Words for Children is a children's history of the world told through the development of language, featuring the wordsmiths, civilizations, and tools that have shaped the way humans communicate. And of course, it includes things like bookstores and libraries. Mary Richards also wrote A History of Music for Children, which came out from Thames Hudson last year. Legends of the NBA from Abbeville Press is a follow-up to Stars of the NBA. This one features retired players. Each person has at least one photo along with a brief biography, career highlights, and key stats to satisfy a basketball novice or a die-hard fan. And now I'm moving on to our teen books. It's My Whole Life by Susan Wider. This biography covers Charlotte Salamon's remarkable life from her childhood and art school days to her time as a refugee in Nazi-occupied France, where she created the largest known single work of art created by a Jew during the Holocaust. Her series of paintings, called Life or Theater, has been called a painted parallel to Anne Frank's The Diary of a Young Girl. Compellingly written and accompanied by vivid color photographs of Salamon's artwork, Susan Wider has crafted an illuminating portrait of an enigmatic young artist. Victory Stand is an amazing graphic memoir by the Olympic gold medalist Tommie Smith, written with Derek Barnes and illustrated by Dawood Anyabwile, who also worked on graphic adaptations of books by Walter Dean Myers and Kwame Alexander. This memoir tells of Tommie's childhood, getting into sports and making it to the Olympics, and then the decision by him and John Carlos, the bronze medal winner, to stand on the podium in black socks and raise their black-gloved fists to protest racial injustice inflicted upon African Americans. Both men were forced to leave the Olympics, received death threats, and faced ostracism and continuing economic hardships. Tommie talks about the ongoing consequences of this protest, both good and bad, and how it still resonates today. And I hope you got to see their afternoon keynote talk at School Library Journal Day of Dialogue on May 19th. Abuela, Don't Forget Me by Rex Ogle is a beautiful tribute to Rex's grandmother, who has been the one constant source of love and protection in his life. Rex has been watching as his grandmother has started forgetting things due to dementia. He started writing down his memories of his abuela, and the snippets turned into the free verse poems which make up this book. This is a quick read, but it really lingers with you. I read it in one afternoon, and I still find myself thinking of abuela's love and how glad I am that Rex had her in his life. Coming of Age in 2020 is from our Norton Education line. This collection of art, essays, photos, and other creative works by teens is published in partnership with the New York Times Learning Network. This book serves as a time capsule of 2020 and a glimpse into the minds of how teenagers dealt with a difficult year. And Big Lies from Tilbury House is a YA nonfiction title by the best-selling author Mark Kulansky, who is famous for his adult history books like Cod, Salt, and Paper. This is both a history of deception and a how-to manual for thinking critically and seeing through big lies. The book has photos, illustrations, and text callouts to help make the layout more dynamic. Kurlansky advocates for the scientific method and for asking important questions. Who is the source? Who benefits? Is there a money trail? He shows how critical thinking is so important now more than ever. And finally, I just want to give a shout out to Well-Trained Mind Press, which is known for their homeschooling and supplemental education titles. If you have any homeschooling families using your libraries, the Story of the World History series is a very readable and interesting alternative or addition to history textbooks. Well-Trained Mind also has instructional books for math, grammar, and writing, and a new edition of the Ordinary Parent's Guide to Teaching Reading. I'll put a link in the description to a catalog of all of our children's books, And thank you all so much for the work that you do in your communities and for your support for authors and reading. We really appreciate everything that you're doing out there. And thank you for listening to me talk for 20 or so minutes about our new books. Bye for now.